screen's black.
I know, I can see it.
What are you doing? You're already... We're not live. You're recording and you're
yeah,
already
that's right. It's
screwing
Christmas.
up.
It doesn't matter. It's the Christmas season. You know, I got to get all crazy when we start the podcast. You know,
All
crazy. Right. No one can see that. A lot of people listen online. Welcome to the show. I'm Dean. That's Lochlin Cross, 957 Cruise FM in Edmonton. It's close to the Christmas season. What are we, the 19th, 20th today? Is it the 19th? Yeah.
We're going to try to do a couple of pods this week, right?
Yeah. We're going to keep it going. We're going to keep the dream alive, if you will. So just relax. We're a little laissez-faire today. There is a little black on the screen because you can watch us on YouTube. Everybody, listeners, my friendly listeners, if you're listening to this on Google, Apple, Spotify, wherever, you can actually see this on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter as well. At It's Dean Blundell, The Crier Media on Twitter, Crier Media on YouTube, Dean Blundell Show on YouTube. So to your point, just to explain to everybody, the screen was black.
Would you like me to go over the agenda?
I would love it, actually. Means I don't.
I got a short shower story.
Okay.
We're going to talk about homeless
encampments. Homeless encampments. Okay, I like that one. That's a good one.
And McRib. Inside information for our campaign to have the Ontario brothers and sisters eat as many as possible to convince McDonald's Canada to roll it out right across the country worked. And it's coming in February. I'm just writing an email.
I don't know that I want to start anywhere else other than there. I don't know that I want to start with shower stories.
No,
I want to talk. Okay. No, I want to talk about the McRib.
February 1st. Take the day off. We're planning something special.
That's when. So hold it. So everybody knows, if you've been following this podcast, you know that Lochlin has been stumping, and him and his crew, Grant, Jimmy, to keep the McRib across Canada because they brought it back in select locations in Ontario.
They were testing it.
Yeah, you have a big listenership out here, right?
Yeah.
Because of this, because we podcast together. So a lot of your listeners are online, 957cruisefm.ca. Great plug. Nice to see you. And you've been campaigning for people to get the McRib. And I'm watching people on Twitter send you receipts of the McRibs that they're buying, saying, yeah, I've done it. I've done it for you, Locke. I've done it for you. I'm over here in Brampton, over here in Mississauga.
It's working.
I'm in Etobicoke. I'm doing it. So you're telling me you got the inside scoop on an announcement on the McRib rolling across Canada, and you think it's the effort that you've been making? Is that correct?
We have of course it is. Why would they reach out to us? We have spies within the McDonald's organization that let us know that this is potentially coming down the pipe in February. And for those of you who are curious about whether or not this was the secret that I was actually keeping from everybody, it's not the secret. The secret has something completely different. Has something to do with something else. This McRib thing is just brand new. This is brand new information from today.
This is breaking news.
This is breaking news. We're going to get the McRib right across the country, Dean. And I thank you for the help that you did on this effort.
You know, I somehow think, like, listen, I'm not saying that you aren't partially responsible for the popularity of the McRib. I've seen the McRib love all across the internet over the past 2-3 weeks. And I've seen you leading that charge for sure. I'm giving you tons of credit. And I don't think you realize probably how influential your campaign to roll out the McRib across Canada because of your love of loose meat sandwiches, which is well documented here, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think that you were totally responsible for it. I think
absolutely we were. Don't crush our dreams.
I think you were partially responsible. I don't think you were totally responsible.
Okay, well, that's beside the fact. If February 1st is the date, and that's what we're hearing, we are planning something. Like I said.
Who'd you hear this from?
I can't tell you. It's like,
well, of course you can.
I can't give up my sources.
Dude, you've already told me that the people from head office at McDonald's and head office, you've interviewed them on the show. So it's obviously someone at McDonald's head office that you've talked to probably on the show before, right?
Listen, I'll tell you off air.
Why is it a state secret? Is it like, will someone die if you tell me?
Because they haven't announced it yet, and we know it ahead of time. So we definitely, this is not something McDonald's has said yet.
No, but I know. But my point is, you're still announcing it, even though they haven't announced it, because you're announcing it on the show that the McRib is coming back.
Yeah,
you're doing an announcement of it on February the 1st.
No.
It hasn't been announced,
date.
But you're announcing.
That's the date we're hearing that it's going to drop across the country.
That they're going to roll it out across the country, or they're going to announce that the rollout is coming?
No. You're going to be able to put one of these in your face hole on February 1st.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I still won't. Because
yeah, you will. You will.
I don't think I will.
Don't even lie to me. Don't even try. Don't sit there and get all high and mighty on
about the McRib, because it's not ribs. It's my point.
I know you want one.
I kind of do, but I won't have one.
Yes, you will.
You know what? It's funny.
You're gonna get stoned.
Smoke an ice indica and go get a couple of McRibs.
Yeah, I can see you punching 3 of those to your face.
Back in the day, I could have for sure. Back when I was just chunking it out, I would have loved to have had 3 McRibs. My all-time McDonald's. And by the way, don't sleep on the McLobster roll either. We need to bring those out. I get really sick and tired of all the people out east getting the McLobster roll.
I know it's
we
not
get
fair.
Fucked over. No, because I like lobster too. They're not the only people that like lobster in this country. We happen to like it just because they have a bunch of it out in Halifax.
No. What we want to do, we want to take the high road here.
We can't. No.
You guys got the McRib.
No, we don't have the McRib.
You got it in Ontario.
McDonald's. 5 of them do. They've been testing it.
That's fine, but you guys put in a solid effort, ate the thing like crazy, and now the rest of the country is going to get it. I want to focus on the positive here, and the positive here is that Ontario did a good thing for the rest of the country, and generally, we're not happy with you.
Every 4 years, we do something for the rest of the country. We say no to the candidate that you want to be prime minister, and we put in the right person.
So you are saying we have no say.
Yeah, totally. We can't trust you. Are you watching what's happening in Alberta? Dude, your province is as much of a dumpster fire as our province. But federally, we think a little bit differently out there. You guys are like one-track mind.
Well, I would like to say this out loud before we get down a path of no return here.
Okay, yeah.
If you think that the Liberal Party is saving us all, then clearly
do we have to talk about politics?
Clearly, you are not making enough. You don't make money, and you don't take a look at your check every month.
Oh, I do.
And you haven't realized that you're never going to be able to retire. You'll get there. Hey, listen, can I tell my shower story?
Yeah, please. Can you start off with it? By the way, congrats on the McRib, dude. Let's just move on from there.
Thank you. Thank you. More in the new year, we'll have more information on the locker room about our plans around the debut of the McRib here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Okay, so land of the free. I'm not a handy guy. I think that's been established. I think I've probably mentioned that more than a couple of times. And whenever here's my problem with.
Do you have a tool belt?
I do, but I bought it as a joke because it turns my wife on. So when I do projects around the house, I put it on.
Do you shirt cock it with it on? Like you just wear a shirt, no pants, and just the tool belt? Shirt cock with the tool belt?
No, it doesn't need. I don't need to be pantless to turn around. That actually might not work. Seeing my balls hang below it like that. Yeah.
Okay, so back to the tool belt. Do you have a toolbox? Like, do you have
I have a toolbox.
Yeah, but you don't. You don't. You're not the guy that like when you got to replace a toilet, you're like, honey, I'll do that.
That's not happening.
2 hours on a Saturday morning. You don't have a vice grips and you don't have caulking.
No,
you don't have all. Okay, good, got it.
No. I have like a couple of screwdrivers, a crescent wrench, maybe a hammer.
Do you have one of those screwdrivers that's got every bit in the end of it?
I got 2 of those. I got an orange one and a blue one.
That's the sign that you don't know what you're doing, by the way. If you have like several of those. I got
a socket set, but I don't know what the hell anybody would ever use that thing for.
Dude, I have 2 socket sets that were purchased for me by my ex-wife. I'm like, do I look like a mechanic? Like, do I look like I'm going to get under the hood of a car?
I think one's Imperial and one is like metric or something. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
So I have tools, but I don't use them. And generally speaking, whenever I start a project, one of the first things that happens is I find out that I don't have the tools I need to actually perform said fixing project. So I end up having to get somebody to help me anyway with more tools. I also have this handyman that we hire. His name is Dependable Dave. So he comes by and he'll fix whatever. I got him coming back in the spring to fix an outdoor tap that isn't working properly. Blah, blah, blah.
Is Dave dependable, or is that just a clever name for marketing purposes?
He's very dependable. He can do
great name.
Massive, like he can do plumbing, he can do electrical, he can do a lot of different things. So he's a good guy, and he doesn't.
Should be multi-talented, dependable Dave. He needs to.
He's a contractor.
Sure, I get it.
Right, like and he went out on his own, decided to be his own boss, and it's working out for him. He's that guy can do anything, right?
Sure, yeah.
So anyway,
the opposite of us.
He was here to fix my sink because I had a leak underneath the sink and I had an issue with and it doesn't matter. He fixed the sink and I said, can you have a look at the shower upstairs? Because it's leaking and I'm wondering what I need to do there. So he's like, no problem. So he takes it out, has a look, turns it on, and it's spraying out of the top of it. Clearly it's got a leak. He goes, buy a new one of these, reattach it here, and then put it back up on the ceiling. You should be fine, but if things go badly for you, call me. So we order one on Amazon. It shows up 2 days later. And guess what? You can't put it in the same way I put the other one in. Now I got to drill holes in it. Okay?
Oh, no.
So I get my drill set out, which is like brand new. It's like 15 years old. It's brand new. And I'm looking at it going, I guess this one I'll try. So I put the old one on top of the new one.
Terrible mistake. Like, I'm listening to you and I'm getting anxious, right? Because I'm like, I'm just like you to the point where I'm like, listen, I'm going to try something in no way am I qualified to try.
No,
I don't even know what drill bits I have. Nothing.
Have you ever tried to do something where it just worked out the way everyone said it was supposed to?
Like 1 out of 10 times. Yeah. Never. I try to do everything. It works out 1 out of 10 times, and I'm always left over with like leftover pieces. Every time I put something together, I'm like, what's this stuff for? And someone invariably would go, you got to take it apart and put it back together. That's a really important piece. That's what I do. That's me. Yeah. That's how handy I am not. Okay.
So the good news is the drilling goes okay. I actually managed to punch some holes in this thing and they look okay. And I'm like pretty proud of myself. There's holes in it. Now I might be able to screw this thing into the ceiling and it might actually work. So I get it up there and I turn it on and I swear to God, it's like dribbling on me. Like no water pressure at all.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, we got a dud. How am I going to send it back? I've drilled holes in the damn thing. Like literally, if I hadn't had to drill holes in it, I would have put it back in the box and I would have driven to the store with the Amazon return thing, sent it back. And then they would have sent me another one. I would have had to drill hole. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a mess. Okay.
Sure.
So I'm thinking I gotta do a little bit more research, find out why this thing isn't. So my wife suggests to me, take it back off. Maybe there's something inside of it, like that you turn to get it to have, like I'm telling you, the pressure was, if I stood above you in the shower and peed on you, I'd have more water pressure coming out of my penis.
Thank you. I figured that's where it was coming from. Yeah.
Okay. And it was useless, completely useless. Like you can't have a shower and that like it was just dribbling.
I get it.
So some buddy of mine says, well, Google it and figure out what's wrong with it.
Do you not Google these things ahead of time? Do you not like go online, or do you just eyeball shit that you're totally unqualified to do?
You know what? You can go pound sand because I know you don't even read instructions on anything and you just go about doing it.
No, you can tell me to pound sand I want. I'm just asking you a question about the process. Are you one of those guys like me? I used to be this way where I'd kind of eyeball a little package. Maybe it's a light fixture, maybe it's a fan, and I'd go, fuck it, we'll just kind of figure it out. We'll look at it. I don't need.
No, I'm that guy. I'm that guy. I don't look at the instructions.
I am not that guy anymore, and it's helped me invariably. So you need to start Googling shit and getting things ready before you actually.
I don't think of it. Anyway. It's not the first thing I think of, right? Like if you're a millennial,
learning how to do what you're going to do should be the first thing you think of. That's my point.
No, I plow forward. I've been like that my whole life.
Continue. Sorry. Okay. Now it makes more sense.
Friend of mine says,
forward.
Your friend of mine goes, why don't you Google it? Go on the webpage, Google it. So we go on the webpage. There's nothing on this Chrome webpage to indicate that there's like, this is a common problem, blah, blah, blah.
Is there a YouTube video? Did you Google a YouTube video on it?
That's where I'm going. Thank you.
Okay. Very good.
So I YouTube it and this guy comes on and he's like, hey, if you've got this type of a unit and the water pressure is really bad, there's been government policies put in place to save us all with water pressure. and they put these little units in that suppress the flow of water from these showers. Okay. Now, you would think that it was on the box or on the web page or something to warn people that, by the way, if Locke came over and stood above you, he'd have better pressure coming out of his penis.
Yeah.
You'd think that there would be something like that on the web page. No, it's not. Nothing. No indication at all. So now these companies are forced to put these little things in, which, by the way, are not that difficult to take out. So this guy shows me how to remove it. I put it in. Boom. I've got this. Here's the point that I wanted to make about it.
Does it work? Does it work now?
It works beautifully.
There's a governor inside the thing that if it has too much pressure, it spins, right? And it prevents the water from coming through your rain shower. Because rain shower heads, like the overhead rain shower, they kick out a lot of jam, right? And so the government's like, whoa, we don't want you enjoying your shower that much. Yes, this happens in Canada. We think you're using too much water when you're cleaning yourself. So we're going to nanny state the fuck out of some of these things, and we're going to make sure that you don't get great water pressure. By the way, because this is where I think you're going with it. Yeah, like you're going to go down the road of like the government is now in my shower, correct?
Judge me if you want. I pulled that regulator out, and the shower works beautifully. Now, here's
I'm not judging you. I agree with you.
Here's the point I want to make. If you're going to make a decision like that, you better have that thing in your shower. Like, I'm checking your shower. If you're a member of the government, I want to find out what kind of water pressure you have. I'm flying to your damn house and I'm checking on it, because you're telling me Justin washes his hair with dribbling water from the ceiling? Absolutely, he doesn't.
No, he's got the full-on rain shower. It uses 12,000 gallons a minute. Yeah. It's like a waterfall. He basically showers under a waterfall, and the water's probably made out of like holy water.
Anyway, I was able to find this information out. So if you're putting a new shower head in, it's red or blue from the YouTube page and it actually, if you just get in there with a screwdriver and turn it, and you grab it with needle nose pliers, pops out, you're good to go.
You're showering. You're having a great shower. You're gonna enjoy it. I can't believe that. I'll tell you something. A long way to get to why is the government regulating my water pressure when I'm in the shower? A long way to get to it. But to your point, I find it fucking unbelievable that the government wants to be in our showers. That wants to prevent us. Like, well, we think.
Like, I get it. I want to do the right thing too, but you can't.
Have you been to the Bay of Fundy? Like, it's fucking full of water. Like, we're surrounded by it. We got the Great Lakes, like right here. We're not running out of water anytime soon. Relax, everybody. We can use the water. We can shower a little longer if we want. Conserve water.
There's a lot of things we could do, Dean, to your point, that that would help out the environment. I don't know if regulating shower pressure, like I would have, the thing is, I would have need to stand in that shower for 15 minutes longer to get the soap off of me with how limited the water pressure was, right?
Humanity.
When the thing is, like, the unintended consequence of these decisions, it just
pisses you off.
It's mind-boggling.
You know what else? I'll tell you something. Let's. You want to talk about redundancy? You want to talk about like what doesn't make any sense? That makes no sense, by the way. No. And I'm on board with your like, hey, the government.
Thank you.
My rain shower.
Yeah.
But I watched it happen in Toronto a couple of weeks ago. Happened in Hamilton. Isn't happening in Vancouver, which is wild because it's like an epidemic there. 10 cities happened in your town the other day.
Edmonton. Well, I'll tell you what happened in Edmonton, but go on.
I want to know. And because it doesn't make any sense to me. It's 'tis the season. We're supposed to be judicious. We're supposed to be kind. We're supposed to be helping people. There are people out there you're never going to get in a house, like ever, right? And they live in tents, and they live outside. They don't give a fuck, right? And so these people sometimes get together, like, let's build a series of tents, and let's put it over here. And because it's an eyesore to people, which I get, because it's somewhat dangerous, which I also get, right before the holidays, so in the last 2 weeks across Canada, they're mowing down these homeless encampments and literally forcing people off the streets. And these are people that they're unwilling to help anyway, who figured it out on their own. And I need to know what happened in Edmonton, because the Edmonton one was specifically brutal, if I'm not mistaken. We've had some brutal encampment raisings here over the past couple of years where like 50 cops go in, they beat the shit out of everybody, they rip everything down, and they
Really?
oh yeah, dude, they cite fire hazards. What's a fire hazard? I get it. I totally understand that there are fire hazards there, and like, if you don't give a shit about your personal hygiene or where you sleep, you probably don't care where you're getting your oil and gas from. You know what I mean? If you need it to heat. But what happened in Edmonton to make it specifically brutal the other day?
Well, there is actually a good news element to it. So, and I don't want to mess this story up, but from my understanding, the plan was the city of Edmonton and the police sat down and they devised a plan, and they were going to go. And I don't think they were going to take them all down. I think they were going to take down, like, I don't know, if there's 100 of them, they were going to take down 50 of these encampments. And I don't know if that's even the number.
Yeah.
What ended up happening was somebody who realized that this was a bad idea contacted the Mustard Seed and a couple of other organizations that are sort of on the ground level here in Edmonton with providing support for the homeless population in Edmonton. Everybody has a food bank. So there was like 3 or 4 organizations that got a letter, anonymous letter from somebody from the city that said, this is what's happening. And I just thought that you guys should be aware, because it might end up, increasing what you guys already do. So then it got into the press that they were planning this, and it was supposed to happen this week, I think. Mm-hmm. And so a lawyer in town, went and took an injunction and had like an emergency sort of legal like involvement in it, and got a judge involved. And a judge has sat down with all sides, including the thank God for this lawyer, sat down with all sides and said, you can't just go and tear down their homes. Like, I don't know what the decision was, but from what I understand is they're trying to come up with like a secondary, if they're going to remove some of them, there's going to be a plan to put the homeless somewhere else. Right?
Yeah, a judge ordered a slowdown of the homeless camp removals, to your point.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and said, hey, listen, and you can't just tear them down. There has to be something to follow it, like a follow-up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with this conversation is they always have this, it's for their own safety bullshit, right? Where they're staying isn't safe. And I don't know what the answer is, but I don't think it's tearing down all of their where they actually are living in the month of December. Like, this
is what I was referring to. Like, I get it. I know that certain aspects of homelessness are very unsafe, right? I get that. I get that living on the street is not safe in the middle of the winter, depending where you are. I get it. But if that's the case, and the city believes that across the board, why are we doing it in the fucking heat of winter? Like, why are we doing it now when they're somewhat settled? I get it. Why are we not taking, and here's the other thing, we're drilling money into all kinds of other pieces of infrastructure, different city plans,
don't
stuff
even
like
get
that.
Me going on that.
Hundreds of millions of dollars for this, 70 million for that, 400 million for this. In Toronto, we're gifting people 500,000 fucking parking spots to the tune of $200 million because they want to open up a casino and a spa. And we just wrote a check for it out of taxpayers for future earnings. We're going to do that. Hundreds of millions of dollars for a spa. Then they go and they rip down a whole bunch of tents, 10 cities, and there's about, 10,000 refugees literally living in churches in this city because homeless shelters are packed. And we're tearing down like the very few minuscule places that these people can live in, where they've been able to source like some kind of warmth or some kind of shelter, and we're doing it in the middle. Meanwhile, you're like, fuck, why don't we just carve out a portion of what we were going to steal from Ontarians and develop some kind of system that helps these people who want to be helped, the people who want to get off the streets, refugees. Why don't we do that?
That's a good point.
And everybody goes, well, I don't want my money going to that. That's unsexy, right? That's not cool. Let's give it to something else. Let's do something else with. Let's make my taxes cheaper. And you point to it as a citizen or individual, a human being, where you go, no, 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 no. That's a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea to not end homelessness in this country, which we are completely capable of doing, right? There are outliers. A lot of people will go, well, just get them off the streets. They're doing drugs. It's illegal. Get them. No, there are outliers. Addiction is an outlier. You've got people out there that are so mentally unwell that there's just no way they're going to say yes to some kind of rehabilitative living situation or job or putting together a resume or getting into chef school, whatever it is that might make their lives better. They just are not going to do it. That's a mental health issue. We should develop a stream for them as well. But you're going to have to accept the fact in this country that we look at homelessness at some point, Canadians, and it doesn't matter who the fucking government is, because every government does it to homeless people. We just don't give a shit about the homeless population in this country.
It's awful. I can't understand how anybody from any city council would arrive at the decision to just remove camps without any sort of follow-up plan on how to accommodate them. It's completely maddening to me that I would be like, yay, yeah, count my vote in, yeah, let the police. It's absolutely unbelievable to me that you can go to bed at night knowing you made that decision. I was disgusted. I couldn't believe it. I'm on vacation. I'm not working right now. I've got a couple of weeks off here, and that I heard that story and I was sick to my stomach. It's so awful. Like, listen, I don't know what the answer is. And we've had conversations with people about the homeless issue in Edmonton.
Yeah.
And one of the first things they will tell you is that the problem with it is, and you sort of touched on it, it's multifaceted.
Yeah.
There are a myriad of reasons why somebody chooses to live on the street. And you can't there isn't a silver bullet solution and a fix all. So you
can't just go in there with a whole bunch of jobs and go, okay, you get a job, you get a job, you get a job, and you're going to be great. You can't go in there and go, okay, we're going to send you to rehab, and after rehab, you're going to be fine, and then you get a job, and you get a job, and you get a job, and then we're going to give you a house, and everything's going to be great. It's not how it works. Like I said, you've got addiction issues, you got mental health issues, you've got people who just are not going to want to do it. But to your point, the judge in the Edmonton situation heard arguments on Friday and Monday, and he's doing the right thing, where he's saying, hey, listen, here's the deal. These are conditions that you need to meet. Before clearing a site, police and city staff must find out if there's enough shelter or other indoor spaces available to accept the people who are getting displaced. So, hey, where are we sending these people? That's a consideration before you clear anything out. Edmonton Police Service must consider the weather and harms of exposing people to the weather before making a closure decision. To your point, it's the fucking middle of winter. As soon as the site is identified for closure, the city is going to notify several social agencies that offer services and support to people who are homeless. Again, put people on high alert that deal with these issues. Encampment residents are going to get 48 hours notice instead of a bulldozer and a bunch of cops with bully sticks.
And none of this was going to happen until somebody from the legal side of things stepped in and made the decision, right? Like, made the decision for them.
These are human beings. They're not like garage sale items that you just fucking pick up with a front end loader and you dump.
So bad.
The other condition must not affect Edmonton Fire Rescue Services or EMS's ability to intervene and serve this population, whatever that means. I'm not too sure.
I think that's where they're coming from, right? Like the city of Edmonton is like, these aren't safe. These places aren't safe. Yes, they're not safe, but are you making their lives safer by tearing down any shelter, even the semblance of shelter that they do have? No.
So I went to do you remember the Occupy movement about 10 years ago? Occupy Toronto, Occupy New York. All these people mad at big business are going to occupy public parks. So there's a big one in Toronto. And we went down and covered it one night, and as part of this radio thing that we were doing. So we go there, and it's like literally maybe 100 tents, varying sizes, kind of lean-to structures, and cool little things that these people built. It was like this little city with commerce. They had a sweat lodge in there. They had a place you could get a fresh juice. You could get, like, their bottled water. There was a couple of
I didn't
snack
know
shacks.
that.
They were doing beaver tails, and I'm like, it's his own little spot here. This is incredible. Like, garbage and recycling set out. It's Toronto, so even the homeless people are a little bit hipster douchey. But it was incredible, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. It was like 3 weeks in, and sure, did you see a bunch of tweakers? 100%. Saw a bunch of people doing a little bit of that, but by and large, it was like, oh, this is just a group of people that have nowhere to live, that's set up and know what they're doing. They're like urban camping specialists, right? Where they figure it out because they have to. Those people will be fine there during the winter. And if the Edmonton Police Service, Toronto Police Service, or any other city that's raising these encampments thinks it's a better idea to go scare the shit out of them, tear these places down, and give them no place to go, fend for your fucking selves, well, that's why they're there in the first place. That's why they're there. And you're just starting them at zero, making them more desperate again, to your point. And it's maddening.
And again, like I said, I have trouble with this conversation because I feel like when you wade into these waters, you should at least have some sort of idea about what to do, and I'm at a loss, right? Outside of, having the resources, putting money towards people that specialize in this and deal with everybody individually. I think a big part of it is empowerment. I think you have to. I don't think the handouts are necessarily the answer. Like, we're going to give you a free place. We're going to give you a free this, free that, free. I think you got to give these people a purpose.
Yeah.
And every story I've heard about somebody coming out of the other end of this, like getting, off drugs, off the street, there was somebody in their lives that said, you know what? Listen, I'm going to help you. I'm going to give you this, but I want you to actually work for it. And then that person had a purpose. And I'm not sure what that looks like. I don't know how you take that and make that this massive sort of fix-all for homelessness, but I think it's at least a conversation, right?
I think it starts with some empathy, right? Like, I think that's the thing there. Well, dude, what do we got in Canada? 521,000 people living with mental illness inadequately housed. 120,000 are homeless. So you got people going between homes, right? 521,000. Then you got people who are on the streets in Canada. That number is about 120,000. And of those 120,000, you have dozens of different psychopathies, right? You've got addiction, you got mental health, you've got mental illness, emotional illness, you've got everything from schizophrenia to bipolar. You've got people with multiple personality. Like, you've got it all. You've got it all. Yeah. And so when you're talking about dealing with homelessness, it's not just about getting these people into a house, right? Because free will exists with those people too. And when your mind is poisoned by drugs, mental illness, emotional illness, whatever the situation is, you're not making a reasoned decision that's in your best interest. That's why you're there. So that work is Herculean on an individual level. And if you're going to take that to 120,000 people,
and they're probably about 30-40% off, because every one of these municipalities lies about their homelessness numbers.
Totally.
Absolutely. 100%. I know a guy in town that does a weekly thing. And what they do is he's got a group of people and they go around different sections of the city and they have little packs that they give the homeless population. So they'll take them, like they'll have a bag and they'll have a meal in there. They'll have a bottle of water. They'll have a toothbrush. They'll have, whatever. And they put these little packs together and there's like 20, 30, 40 of them, and they hit the river valley and they'll deliver them to the people that want them. And you know what? He'll sit down and have a smoke and a conversation with a couple of guys, right? And every time they release the new numbers, he is so angry. This man is like, they're lying. They're saying right now that it's 3,000 up 500 from last year. He's like, they're 50% off.
He thinks they're dummying the numbers by. He thinks they're pulling a Russia. They probably are. I mean, every city does. Every city lies about how bad things are in their city, right? You can see when you go downtown. Like when you go downtown Toronto, you can clearly see when you get on the subway.
There is no way there's 3,000 people in this city that are homeless. It's closer to 5 or 6.
That was what you said. The Edmonton River Valley was a couple of years ago. There's
a homeless encampment.
1,500 people living in there, right? That was 2 years ago. 1,500. Guy goes there with 1,000 sandwiches. He still needs 500. Can't feed people. Gives people like what he can. And that guy would know. The dude, your boy, would know how many people. The guy who's working with him would know.
Well, and we don't have enough people like that guy that are like on the ground doing that. Like that's tough work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think empathy. You got to start with that, and tearing down, homeless encampments is not a form of empathy that I think anybody would be proud of.
No.
Yeah, and I'm disgusted with the city of Edmonton, our councilors. If you guys played a part in that, like, have a long, hard look. I hope you guys see this. Have a long, hard look in the mirror. If you were part of that decision, like, come on, like, what is wrong with you? How do you arrive there? Like,
I don't understand. What's the public reaction been like in Edmonton since it started?
People are disgusted. But we're
at
a
majority of people, or do you have anybody going, yeah, it's about time we got rid of that eyesore?
There is that. There's going to be that, and I understand it. I mean, I understand.
Too, but where is it weighted? Is it like, are more people outraged? Is that why you're seeing the response, the legal response that we've seen?
Well, that was one individual was so disgusted that they're the ones. One lawyer stepped in with an injunction and said, no, you guys got to think about this. Stop. What are you doing? And then a judge got a hold of it, and then you released the information. I think that was on Friday, Thursday or Friday. Somebody stepped in front of it.
Friday.
Because it was supposed to happen this week, and it wasn't something they were advertising. Like, I went on their Twitter. I looked a week back on the city of Edmonton Twitter, and it wasn't like something they said, hey, by the way, on Wednesday next week, we're going to be bulldozing all the homeless encampments. And they've done this before, and I know other cities have. And
they do it in Toronto, dude. They did it like a couple of months ago where they literally and there was a fire at one of the homeless encampments, right? Nobody died, I don't think. But everybody freaked out. People in the neighborhood freaked out. They were tired, which I also understand, right? Like you buy a house in a nice neighborhood, and
I get all that.
Park behind your house, you've got 400 vagrants sitting there, cooking in the backyard at like 4:00 in the morning, throwing their, shitty toilet paper, whatever they wipe their ass with over the fence. That was a buddy of mine, backed onto an area close to Moss Park where there was a massive encampment. And he's like, dude, I find hypodermic needles. I find condoms, which is unbelievable that these people actually use condoms. Dean. Like, seriously.
Yeah, it's not safe. You're right. Like, our apartment that we own in Winnipeg, we had a call we have a parking spot with it, and we had a note from the tenant, and they sent me a note saying, is there anything you can do? Because there's somebody living in a tree right in front of my parking spot. I mean, I've seen it in my neighborhood.
What do you mean? Like they built a tree house?
Yeah, they're living right in front of
those are people. I kind of does part of you sort of respect the ingenuity of the homeless people? Like they don't really give a fuck. Some certain people are like, I don't know, I was an engineer. I could build a tree house and I could live in that fucking thing all year long.
Yeah.
Like the people that make it through winter on like grates near the Eaton Center, like you -40, -30, -20, you're kind of heroic that way. Like, do you know how many people I've seen?
You're living in Winnipeg and you're homeless.
You're like tough.
You're a tough bastard. Yes. Here's the other thing too. The first thing I thought, I was in Vancouver visiting my family last weekend, and I saw this one homeless, and you see a lot of homeless people. I was witnessing somebody sleeping like literally 13, 14 feet away from me without a pillow. I'm like, there's no, and this is kind of a weak thing to say, but that was my thought. I was like, I love my pillow. I don't know if I could go to sleep at night without my pillow. And these homeless people have like
nothing. And they're on
sleeping under a
sidewalk. Yeah. They've got like maybe a shoe for a pillow or nothing at all. And then they just get up and they make it happen the next day.
That's how weak I am.
Dude, me too. Me too. Like, I think that all the time when I see guys or girls who live on the street and it's like January the 15th and it's minus 20 and they're pulling this giant cart of shit and they're like, yeah, whatever, man. I made it through another night. Like, there is something, they are made of shit. Like, when we look at those people and we think, oh, these are the outcasts of society. They're the toughest fucking human beings in Canada.
Yeah.
If you can survive a winter on the streets of a Canadian city from like November to March, you've got my respect.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? I think the other thing we need to evaluate too is how our medical system is prescribing pills. Like, I think the drug issue is probably one of the, like, if you're trying to do a percentage of the homelessness population, I think that the drug issue is a big part of it, and a lot of people get there by, spraining their ankle when they're 25 and getting put on pills and then going down a road for 10, 50. Like, I think we have to reevaluate how we go about prescribing medications to people in this country. And I think that'd be a decent start, maybe. Yeah. Right. I read a stat.
You ever see the show? Go ahead. I want your stat first.
1 in 4, like, you can take an opioid, put it in front of 4 people. One of them is an addict. 1 in 4.
Love that. Yeah.
And not every one of the 4 ends up living in a car and losing their like job and marriage, but there's a percentage of that 1 in 4 that goes down a path that is of hopelessness, right? Like, and just uncontrolled. And if that's the case, if we know that, if those are actually real numbers, maybe we should think about what we put in front of people before,
like, to try to help them. Dude, this is one of my biggest problems. So, and I know it's probably a good place to kind of wrap up in the next several minutes, but this is the season, right? This is the season where everybody gets like 12 bell hammered 3 to 4 nights a week, right? You got Christmas parties, you've got eggnog with the wife at home, you might crack an extra bottle of wine. It's the drinking season. We all know that. My phone has not stopped ringing because I work with guys that want to quit drinking, right?
Yeah.
It's one of the things I do, which I really love. Like, I love the fact that my experience might be able to help somebody else go from being super miserable to being happy.
Well, and I will say this. I'm going to jump in here because I think you have a interesting approach to it, and I think there's actually a larger conversation based on how you deal with your friends that have these types of issues. And you and I have talked about this, and you've told me about how you deal with them. And I think you're very honest. You don't bullshit anybody. You tell it straight up. And you also tell them that if they're not ready to make a change,
keep going.
Yeah.
Keep drinking. There's no reason for you to stop drinking. But, like, dude, I got 4 phone calls yesterday. 1 from a gentleman that I work with and 3 guys that I've never met before. Hey, you got to help me. Need some help. Like, sure. Yeah, I'm happy to help you. I'll talk to you about it anytime. Let's set up a time, maybe in the new year. We can sit and shoot shit. No, I need to see you now. 2 guys are like, no, I need to come and see you now. And I'm like, well, I can't now, but we can today. So I met with one of them this morning. I'll meet with another guy tomorrow night. This is, and I hear it a lot from people. And if you listen to the Smartless podcast with Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, if you listen to that, all of those guys are now sober. None of them drink. Sean Hayes.
Well, I think Will's sober, and Jason, I don't know what Jason is.
I think he's sober too now. I think they're all basically sober. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think Jason's had a different path than Will, though.
Yeah, he has. Will was a hopeless alcoholic. Took some, he stopped drinking for a long time, went back and started drinking again after he got his divorce.
Jason just really liked cocaine.
Yeah, he was a big fan. And hey, dude, I don't judge you guys. If you like coke, do coke. I don't care. I don't care what you do. I don't care what you do. I don't care what you.
I had a taste of it years ago, and I was like, yeah, that's.
I need to stop this right now because it's so awesome.
Should not.
But listen, I am a fan of.
That's a bad path for old Locker.
As someone who's sober, I'm a fan of drugs and alcohol. I think people should be allowed to do and try drugs. I think you should be allowed to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But I also think that if you don't have the tools to manage your life, you should stay the fuck away from them as long as humanly possible, or at least figure out what your schedule's like before you start doing it. But it doesn't matter. A lot of people will drink for a couple of reasons. A lot of people will do drugs for a couple of reasons. But there's one real reason that everybody does it. It's to feel different, right? It's not. It's to not be here. It's to go, I need to get out of my head. I need to celebrate. Let's get drunk. Let's do a couple of bumps. Let's smoke a huge joint. By the way, I don't think cannabis is a drug. So let's just take that right out of the conversation.
Yeah, no, it's clearly not a drug.
No, it's not. It's not at all. And it makes
cures everything.
Lemon poppy seed cake taste delicious.
And the McRib.
Yeah, I might actually eat a McRib if I smoke a joint. But there are different varieties of sobriety too, right? And the one thing I would share.
You're California sober.
That's what they call it. Yeah. I don't mind some cannabis from time to time. There's one thing that people ask themselves this season. They ask themselves, especially if they drink all the time, is why am I doing this? You're doing this because you don't want to be here, dude. Like that's why
you want to escape. Yeah.
You want to get the fuck out of your head. You want to numb whatever it is you're thinking. Your mind's racing, negative thought processes, the way you were born, going through a divorce, marriage, kids, life, work, all that stuff. It becomes so overwhelming. And the people that don't deal with it well are the people that don't deal with stress well. It's a very, very simple thing to understand.
Yeah.
And I want to say something to all of those people out there that are listening to this, that are watching this. It's okay. It's okay. You're going to be okay if you go and look for answers as to what it is that makes you drink, what it is that makes you do drugs, what it is that makes you not want to be present.
But you have to get there. You have to figure it out.
But no one else can do it, to your point, right?
Yeah. And that's the other thing that I know that you sort of preach is that you got to get there on your own. Like
absolutely. And when someone's
none of that
ready,
shit works.
No, dude. I was at like maybe the worst intervention I've ever been to a few months ago. Everybody's like, we love you. We want you to change. And then they started yelling at him. Then they started telling him that he's the worst. And then they started telling him, I'm like, oh yeah, well, let's see how this goes. So within about 40 minutes, the guy's like, you people want me to get better, but you treat me like shit. And I'm like, he just said the quiet part out loud. Exactly.
Let's go for a drink.
What are you people doing to this guy? So I take him out of the garage and I'm like, dude, listen.
For a drink.
Yeah, let's go for a pint. Let's go do a couple lines and have about 12 vodka sodas. No, I said to him, hey, listen, dude, this is about you. It's not about them, right? You can see the damage that's going on that you've done to yourself and how it concerns those people because they love you. That's one thing you got to remember. You got to see through all the shit. But if you're not ready to do it,
yeah,
it's a pointless exercise. But your relationships are going to suffer, continue to suffer. People aren't going to trust you. People are going to move away from you. You're going to find yourself lonely. These are the consequences of what you're doing. He's like, yeah, I'm not ready to quit. I'm like, no problem. Do whatever you want. I gave him a high five, wished him happy trails. He's in a home now. He's in hospice. Because he was like, got nothing. So he fried his brain in the 4 or 5 months because he wasn't ready. He didn't want to do it. But that's his prerogative. Does part of me feel sad for people like that? Yeah, dude, of course it does. Of course it does. We could all be that person.
There's a lot of people that just can't get off.
They don't want to. And you know what? Here's the thing. People will say, that's not okay, Dean. I'm like, of course it's not according to our standards, according to the standards we live by. But that's what that person wanted. And it's literally like suicide. And that's a crazy thing to talk about in this podcast, but that's what it is. You want to make a decision to do that. You're aware of the consequences. That is what is going to happen. And I will give you a high five on the way out because if that is how you want to live your life, great. But there's nothing there. And I'm here to tell everybody that has that problem, that thinks that there's no way out. There is nothing there if you keep going the way you're going. So
but if you can
go and
if you can figure out one, like,
why
sort of focus on one aspect of the of the journey that that you can just sort of grab onto, then that's but that guy's got to get there himself, right? Unfortunately, I think a lot of this has to do with who we choose to surround ourselves with, right?
Huge. Yeah.
And you end up in these these toxic relationships that you can't control and you can't get out of. And sometimes, unfortunately, it might be somebody really, really close to you. It could be a parent, right? It could be a sibling. It could be there's a lot of people that are caught up in these environments socially that I think send them down a path that they want to escape.
Yeah.
They want to get away from the people in their lives.
Well, and
right?
Dude, you think about it in terms of like, if you're an unhappy person and you're in a bad marriage, you're unhappy at home.
Yeah.
You go to your work, you're unhappy at work. Of course, when you're awake, you're going to want to drink or not be here. That's how we're taught to self-medicate. Get back to the medication, which you pointed out earlier. Go to the doctor. You're like, I'm feeling a little bit sad. They don't go, well, maybe you should do some cognitive behavioral therapy. Maybe you should go to the gym. Maybe you should do these things. They're like, I'll give you these pills. Take these.
We got to stop.
Look on television and you're watching TV and you're like, hey, tonight, it's a great time to have a Bud Light with all your friends, which it is. Enjoy a Bud Light. I don't care. But you're told that it's a great time to do that. In advertising, you'll see it. Get together and share a bottle of this with your friends. If someone dies, if someone dies, if someone celebrates, if someone wins, if someone loses, there's booze attached to those things. We're legitimately taught that you can put things in yourself that'll fix things. Never works. Dude, it never works. It works for a while until it stops working. And so there's a lot of people this holiday season that are going to be experiencing that malaise. And it's because you're not dealing with the shit in your life. And I would highly encourage everybody to do it on a daily basis, dude. Like, it's something that you can't run away from. If you want to be a happy person, you got to make happier decisions. You want to make a better person, you got to make better decisions. Is it a great decision to do a bunch of coke, get super hammered 3-4 nights of the week? No, because your physiology is going to suffer. Your mind's going to suffer. Your entire being is going to suffer. And you're not going to learn anything about going through life, right? You're not present. You're not here for those things. And if there's one thing I know, and I would encourage everybody this holiday season, to be present, to be mindful of your circumstances. And if you are incapable of doing it and you need to drink or you need to do drugs just to be here, that is a problem. And I would encourage you to look into it. Not to beat yourself up. Don't get angry. But if you're looking for, am I in trouble? If you're looking for someone to give you what that trigger is, if you're doing it because the thought of not doing it in certain groups or circumstances in your life are just too much for you to handle, and you think, I need to be drunk to get through X, or I need to do some bumps to get through Y, you need to look into it, because I can guarantee you'll be a much happier person if you do. And you're the only person who can.
There is an element of drinking, though, that needs to be explored here too, right? We've had your side. Let me share a quote from one of my favorite drunks of all time, Shane McGowan, the Pogues, who recently passed away, was being interviewed, and the person interviewing him said, "Are you guys better sober?" And Shane McGowan said, "Absolutely. We're great sober, but it's not as much fun, so we get drunk."
Hey, listen, I totally understand that. I'm not talking to those people. Those people are fine. You're in the Shane McGowan Pogues conversation. That's you. I'm not talking about those people. He's 100% right. Concerts are way more fun when you're blitzed. They really are.
It's probably one of my favorite drunk guy quotes of all time.
Yeah. Are you better when you're sober? 100%.
We are so good. We're a great band.
Dude, thanks for doing this. Great to see you today.
Yeah, that was fun. It would have been way funner live, but
dude, people are going to hear this live. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
way more fun live.
I get it.
Yeah, you're going to be fine.
Hey, thanks by the way, I'll keep you guys posted on the McRib being rolled out. All right.
Yeah,
I'll tell you more. Okay. And are we doing this again?
Yeah,
we're doing another one this week.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. Or Thursday?
Thursday. Yeah.
Thursday is good. Yeah. Tomorrow. Oh,
Appreciate
this is running Wednesday.
Yeah.
Jesus, I hate this. Okay. Have a good day.
You too. Buddy.
I love your work.
Yeah, I love yours too. Lochlin Cross, 957 Cruise FM in Edmonton. That's where you can find them. At Lochlin Cross on Twitter. Thanks to our friends at Muse Massage Spa for making this possible. Go to Muse Massage Spa for more details on how you can go and visit them at the #1 body rub parlor in the entire country. That's right, not just Toronto, 1290 Finch Avenue West, the whole country. Legendary service, legendary attendance, legendary owners. Emily and Riley have got a great podcast called Muse on the Mic. Go and download it anywhere you get your fine podcasts as well. They'll take you inside the body rub industry. They're advocates for the women that work there. They're advocates for that work. They're advocates for human beings, and they teach you a ton. Both sexologists, highly entertaining, highly credible, and really good business people. So go to musemassagespa.com. Go visit them at 1290 Finch Avenue West, or download their new podcast called Muse on the Mic. It's good, and it's titillating, as they say. Thanks to our friends at Cantork for making this possible. Again, Cantork out of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. They make rugged, hardworking torque wrenches, Canada's leading industrial tool experts. They get you the best in sales, service, rentals, calibration, maintenance, and custom fabrication of industrial torque tools. Doesn't matter what it is, from tool rentals, calibration, service, and repairs to custom fabrication and distribution opportunities. Cantork offers a complete range of services and products, making them your one-stop destination for all your bolting needs, saving you time and effort. Go to their brand new website, cantork.com. Again, brand new website, cantork.com. And check them out today. You can see a litany of their expertise, a whole bunch of products that they carry. You can see their services, and you can actually contact Colin and maybe even become a distributor for Cantork products. The best in the business out of Canada. Everything they do is in Canada, including their manufacturing out of Edmonton, Alberta. Go and visit them online today at cantork.com. And, of course, brought to you by our friends at Ed's Fine Imports, his luxury branded underwear, Gitch, G-I-T-C-H. Huge seller on Amazon now. Massive. GITCH3. That's your promo code. Go to edsfineimports.com, though, and he'll give you a free pair. You can't get that deal on Amazon. You can't, but you can get it at edsfineimports.com. Gitch3, that's your promo code, Gitch, and then the number 3. When you buy 3 or more pairs of these luxury boxer briefs, pouch in the front, super breathable, barely their fabric. They move with your every movement, moisture wicking, and by the way, the fabric in the front, it's a little bigger for Canadian dudes. They had to do it. Anyway, go to Ed's Fine Imports. Use Gitch3 as your promo code. He'll send you a free pair today. Massive online store, too. So if you're looking for some last-minute Christmas stuff, they got some huge deals right now if you go to edsfineimports.com for that young man or man in your life. Doesn't matter. edsfineimports.com. Gitch3 is your promo code. Brought to you by Gitch. Have a great day. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, depending on what you celebrate. I don't care if you do. I don't even really celebrate Christmas. Well, we do the tree. We do the gifts. But it's not Jesus' birthday in his house. No, it isn't. So, happy holidays, everybody. See you tomorrow.